Welcome everyone. I'm glad you can join me. And if you're returning, welcome back. I'm glad you can join me on this channel again. This is Motor Vigor Healing and Cosmetics, and what we're going to be talking about today is food combinations. So, food combinations, most people haven't heard about it. Most people don't know what that is. I know I didn't hear about it until recently. I gotta say that the standard full course meal that everybody knows about is I could say somewhat of a myth, just because of the information I'm going to share in this video today with you today is the fact that a full course meal actually isn't the healthiest for you. Different foods have different digestive times, and therefore you have to pair them up with the right digestive times, also digestive environments. So to take a step forward, there's benefits and there's disbenefits to pairing the wrong foods. For our whole life we've been eating certain things. You see hamburgers with bread and meat that's everywhere on every corner, and they use fast food and people eat it all the time. What they don't know is that with bread, which is a carb, and meat, which is a protein, they create two separate digestive environments, as well as they have different digestive times. So with carbs, carbs are in a number of different things and they come in different forms, but they usually take about 1 to 2 to 3 hours to digest, versus protein, which takes about 5+ hours to digest throughout the day. So when you eat a carb with a protein, you are putting in two different food categories, of course food categories, but with digestive times and environments that will ultimately wreak havoc on your digestive system if you continue to do this. So, people eat hamburgers all the time. People eat spaghetti, which is a meat with a starch, which is not good, all the time. And they don't have any problems. The problem is when you do this for too long, for years at a time, because all of us eat for, we have all these bad habits in this society that we live in that we built up over time. So the damage comes from accumulation over time. Say if you were to eat foods that don't, have the right digestive processes or environments, it's not going to say it's going to kill you or it's going to even affect you at that time. It's when you eat these foods consistently that the damage starts to build up. So popular foods, spaghettis, hamburgers, potatoes with steak and stuff like that are essentially unhealthy in many different ways. What you see is proteins create an acidic environment. All right, there's an enzyme that the pancreas creates, because the pancreas is one of the leading organs in the digestive system, and it creates all the enzymes and chemicals needed for digestion for different types of foods. So with proteins, protein being acidic in nature, it will create an acidic environment in the stomach, and therefore need acidic foods or foods that are affected by acidity to be paired with it for normal digestive times. Carbs, starches, fruits that are high, usually high in carbs and things of that sort, create an alkaline environment. And so, alkaline is a pH above 7.0 and higher. That's a high pH, versus acidic, which is about 6 and lower. 6 is about in the middle. 5 and lower is what you would consider acidic and less alkaline. When you put those two together, alkaline and acidic enzymes cancel out each other. So when you eat these foods and you're combining alkaline and acid environments, and also compared with different digestive times, you're ultimately creating a terrible environment for your gut. You're mixing chemicals that weren't supposed to mix. You're extending the digestive time between something that will digest in 2 hours and pairing it with something that will digest in 5 hours. And what that does in that digestive system is it causes fermentation. So when you eat something and it's already been well digested, it's about time for it to move into the small intestine. But you have a food that is going to take about 3, maybe 4, even 5 more hours to digest. That food that's already digested is going to stay in the stomach while the other food is still digesting. And what that does is it causes fermentation. And when fermentation happens in the gut, you end up having bacteria that grows. You have infections that can enter. You also have damage and inflammation that's caused on the stomach lining, that's caused in the small intestine and the large intestine. When it comes to food combinations, over time, when people keep eating poorly combined foods, they essentially will degrade, damage, and prolong the unhealthy, uncomfortable sensations of eating wrong. So in essence, after a while, years of eating poorly combined foods, you'll end up with symptoms and conditions like IBS, inflammatory bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, Huntington's disease, leaky gut, hemorrhoids, and stuff like that. These are all created by having undigested foods in the GI tract, which damages the system because food is supposed to be processed thoroughly and digested thoroughly before it moves into the intestines, because when it moves into the GI tract, that is literally just the absorption of all the food that was broken down in the stomach. There's nothing full or whole that's supposed to enter into the small intestine, therefore into the large intestine. Small intestine absorbs the nutrients in the food. The large intestine does as well, but it mainly absorbs all the excess water, bile, and other chemicals that were used for the breakdown process of the food. That's reabsorbed in the large intestine, and that's how the stool is formed. The stool becomes hard, and you're able to actually excrete it. When you combine these foods poorly, you create different times that foods should be digested. So therefore, you can either prolong the time the food is supposed to be digested, therefore causing fermentation and inviting bacterial growth, virus growth, infections, and damage and inflammation into the system, or you can cause foods that are not properly digested to move into the digestive tract, therefore also causing damage because of the fine gut lining and flora in the gut that is damaged when whole foods are pushed and rubbed against the sides. So when it comes to the types of foods to combine together, what you want to do is understand that each one has different environments, and then on top of that, the digestive times. So protein, meat, fish, some nuts and seeds, these take the longest to digest. So whenever you're dealing with a protein, you want to pair it with something that's not going to take too long. So the way it goes is usually fruits should be eaten alone. They have the shortest digestive time, between 40 minutes and an hour to digest, some shorter than that. So if you're not supposed to mix fruits with pretty much anything else because they have such a short digestive time. They'll be in the system and move throughout the system faster than anything else, so you don't want to pair anything with that to slow down the digestive time. Vegetables are considered a neutral. So veggies can be eaten with pretty much anything. You can eat veggies with fruit, you can eat veggies with proteins, because vegetables have their own enzymes inside of them that add to the breaking down digestive process of the body. So if you were to eat broccoli with fish, the broccoli can stand in the acidic environment longer because it has its own digestive enzyme, so therefore its digestion isn't really affected by the acidic or alkaline environment. So when you're talking about proteins, or you're talking about foods and how to combine them properly, and you want to get your macros, which protein is one of the macros, you want to make sure you combine it with a vegetable or a leafy green, which is considered a neutral, because their digestive times are not based on the environment in the stomach, more so than the enzymes that are already in it that aid with the digestive process once you ingest it. So starches and carbs, which both are essentially sugars, but starches can be found, or more so are found in vegetables and foods that are grown underground. Beans, potatoes, parsnips, turnips and stuff like that. They're really high in carbs, and so carbs are a sugar. But when you're talking about starches are sugar, but when you're talking about starches versus carbs in their sugar content, carbs are mainly fruits and things like that that contain monosaccharides. Monosaccharides are molecules that contain one sugar molecule per what's the word I'm looking for? Per molecule. It's basically like one sugar molecule attached to another. So then you have, and that's considered pretty much carbs, fruits and stuff like that. So the very easy to digest, very fast to digest, and very simple sugars. So when you get into carbs, when you get into starches versus carbs being simple sugars like fruits and things that are easy to digest. Starches are a little bit longer to digest and are consistent of polysaccharides and disaccharides. So if you look at disaccharides, di meaning two, so it's two sugar molecules attached to another one in that formation. So therefore, it's more complex for the body to digest down, and you get more sugar out of it. So polysaccharides are multiple sugar molecules connected together, and they create long chains, therefore prolonging that digestive time. So when people say you want to get more carbs or you want to get more sugar into your diet, but if you're very active, if you work out a lot, or if you have a very physically demanding job, you will want to eat starches versus carbs, because starches take way longer to digest, and they take way longer to break down, and therefore when it comes into your blood sugar levels and the pancreas's ability to produce insulin and have the insulin sensitivity at a rate that's I guess you could say balanced and very equilibrium-like throughout your digestive process or throughout your physical activity, polysaccharides and monosaccharides will provide the sugar chains that are complex enough or built up enough or more complex enough for your body to take the time it needs to digest those through over a long period of time. So in so many words, starches, aka complex sugars, which are their sugar formation is way more complex and way more compact and built together. It's better for longevity, it's better for energy, and it's better for to eat in general, because it causes the body to break down the food at a slower pace while still getting the same amount of energy, versus if you were to eat carbs, which monosaccharides are very simple sugars and that digests quick, and the sugar and the energy is used really quick. Carbs and starches can be consumed together because they're sugar-based foods. Both of their digestive times, starches digest usually around like 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. Carbs digest between 1 to 3 hours. Their window is so close that you can eat them together. Starches, carbs, paired with proteins, no. The digestive times and the environment that's created is too different. When you digest them together, it's going to cancel them out. So the protease, which is the enzyme that is used to break down proteins, meats and fish and stuff like that, protease is the enzyme that's produced to break those down. And it creates an acidic environment, so you need that acidity by itself. If you were to add potatoes, a fruit, radishes or anything like that with the protein, it would cancel out the protease, and therefore creating ineffective stomach acid. So your body, your food will be being digested, but it will be being digested in an improper way because there's two separate canceling out chemicals in the same area. What this does over time is creates inflammation, it creates damage in the gut, it also causes the pancreas to overwork because it's now having to create certain different chemicals to break down the havoc that you have caused in the stomach. So what it does to the pancreas ultimately is it changes the pH of the pancreas as well. So therefore damaging the pancreas, also altering its ability to produce the enzymes needed to break down certain foods. So as you can see with what I just explained, over a certain amount of time, if you continue to pair foods improperly, it'll cause havoc in your system. It'll cause chaos in your system. It'll, for the millennials and Generation X coming up, we're teens through 30s right now. And we're already seeing in our age group more people than our parents and our parents' dealing with issues that our parents are dealing with now. We're dealing with them because the knowledge of how to eat properly, the foods that's being produced in society and stuff like that is just getting worse and worse and worse, and the knowledge is diminishing. So people aren't understanding how they need to compare foods. They're not understanding how they should consume foods and take care of their body. Therefore, they may be thinking that they're eating healthy. They may think that they're taking care of themselves, but they're ultimately damaging themselves because they don't know the science behind how to consume. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a link and a document at the bottom of this video with proper food combinations. You can go on Google and type in food combinations. They have many different charts on what you can eat and what can combine. So you can do that yourself, but I'm also going to leave a link on this video. I'm going to type it up, and it's going to have the foods to combine, the foods not to combine, and examples of each of those foods. So an example of what not to eat, which is protein and carbs, protein and starches. You don't want to eat, like, say, if you were to get fish and then garlic bread and probably some type of tomato-based pasta. Not good, not good. The protease that's going to be needed to break down the fish versus the name of the chemical for to break down. I have it written right here. The name of the chemical to break down carbs is amylase, carbohydrates, and malt diatase, and each of those are different. Amylase is really produced in the saliva, so when you have spit and you're chewing, carbs are broken down. Only carbs are broken down in the mouth because of the amylase present inside of the saliva. And carbs and starches, when they don't digest in the large intestine, they don't digest in the stomach, only in the small intestine, because that's where amylase is again produced and it's present as well. So to eat fish and also add garlic bread, which is a type of carb, it's going to cancel out. The environment's not going to be good. Also burgers and fries. Any fried type of potato is not good because the high amounts of omega-6s and the high amounts of destructive fats and oils that are in there will damage the absorption in the gut. So when you have two foods that have different environments, now they're not being digested properly, and also you have other foods with damaging oils and constituents in it. Now what you're doing is creating undigested food inside the small intestine, inside the large intestine, inside the stomach and the gut. That's damaging the lining and damaging the integrity of the organ, and also damaging the absorption rate that you can have. Like, you're not getting the nutrients that you need from the food, because poorly combining foods can cause diarrhea. And if you have diarrhea, that's your body pushing out whatever you digested because it's so toxic. It needs to get it out the body now. What that does is cause damage on your GI tract, because now it's expediting the peristalsis, which is the movement of the bowels to push out the food. It starts when you swallow, and that motion of your throat pushing the food down into the stomach follows all the way throughout the small intestine, large intestine, all the way out until you go to the bathroom. It's one fluid movement. And when you have your body trying to expedite that process, not only does it cause damage in the movement and the rhythm, it also causes strain on the small intestine, the large intestine, the stomach, and the pancreas when it's trying to push that food through. And that's what causes tears in the gut. That's what causes leaky gut. That's what causes inflammation, IBS, Crohn's disease, and things like this. So when you know this, you have to understand that you have to properly chew your food, and also you also have to combine your foods as properly as well too. So once again, it's not going to kill you if you eat poorly combined foods every now and then, but it can cause problems and eventually kill you if you don't balance that out and start properly combining foods together with themselves and eating those and having intermittent fasting moments between, so your body can digest it, move it through the tract without having other food combining with it that's digested in a different way. Intermittent fasting is another thing. I'll make a video about that, but you have to give your body time to digest and move the stuff through. People will eat a normal food that digests that take about 4 or 5 hours to digest. They'll eat, and then like maybe an hour later or 2 hours later they'll eat something else, and what that does is it causes imbalance in the digestion, because now you have undigested food that needs to go through the whole process paired with food that's already almost done, about to move into the small intestine. So you see how that would cause a problem. So it's very important to really study and get to know what combining foods, how to properly combine them, because even if you're eating healthy, even if you've been taking all the steps you need to, like working out and all that stuff like that to make sure you're healthy, you have to understand that you may still be feeling those symptoms and still feeling ill and poor digestion because of the improper food combinations. So an example of a good combination with a macro with protein is you could say salmon, broccoli, and carrots. You got the broccoli digests at its own rate, and it can survive the acidic environment as well as the carrots can. They're both broccoli being cruciferous and carrots being grown into the ground, carrot being high in carbs, it'll have a longer digestive rate than anything else. Like say if you were to eat with lettuce or like fruit or something like that, it would have a longer digestive time. So broccoli and carrots and salmon. You have your veggies, your neutral. You have your carrots, which is a carb, or starch, carb/starch. If you don't have it a lot, then it wouldn't be that bad. You know what I'm saying? So with salmon, broccoli, and carrots, that's a generally well-balanced meal. And as you can see that the modern day full course meal is not included in that. This is just veggies and a macro or a protein. Another one is chicken and kale. Chicken, kale, and cauliflower. That's a good one. You have your protein, your macro, chicken, then you have kale and cauliflower, which are which is cruciferous vegetable. And then cruciferous vegetables, but they digest it in their own paces. So how long it takes to digest the chicken, the kale and the cauliflower can sit in there, digest, and also still hang out while the rest digests. And therefore it's a solid digestion, moving into the small intestine, therefore moving into the large intestine, absorbed, and a peaceful bowel movement. The best way I can say. So, with this being said, what you should take away from this video is that fruits should be eaten alone. Melons alone as well. Say if you eat an apple and then you eat a watermelon, not the best idea. But if you eat a melon by itself, it's fine. If you eat an apple with orange, that's fine. Melons have a shorter, since melons are more of a high in water content, they have an even shorter amount of time that it takes them to digest, say like 20 to 30 minutes. When you eat that with apple, or you eat that with a mango, and that would take about 40 minutes to an hour to digest. So it's about properly combining the digestive times and also the digestive environments. In a nutshell, the full course meal is a lie. And proper food combinations basically relies on digestive times and digestive environments. And once you know this, you'll be able to take your health into your own hands and start eating properly. Meal prepping the right foods. Also taking the time between meals so your body has the time to heal. So when you have the right digestive times combined together, you have smooth bowel movements, smooth digestion, smooth absorption. And when you pair that with intermittent fasting, or the amount of time that your body needs to digest the food, you have created the environment for your body to produce or to digest food, absorb the nutrients, and also have the time it needs to properly pack it, properly digest it, and move it out. That alone will improve your digestion and your gut health exponentially. By putting this into place and practicing this, you will probably start to see a lot of health improvement. All health starts with the gut. All health starts in the gut. And if your gut is imbalanced, if your earth is imbalanced, everything else will be too. So, with that said, I'm trying to see if I had anything else left in here that I wanted to let you know. It's not too complex. Food combinations is not like some rocket science. It's not. It's really just looking at the different foods that you have and understanding that they process at different rates and they have different environments. And when you understand what those are, and it's very simple. Protein is acidic, carbs, starches, and fruits are alkaline, and vegetables pretty much are universal. They can be digested with anything. So with those three facts right there, you can start to prepare your meals better and eat better and treating your gut better. So with that said, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can leave them in the description below. You can also email mortalvigor.org. You can send messages straight to the website. Also, you can go to mortalvigor@gmail.com. If you have any questions about food combinations, or if you have anything that you wanted to ask me personally, or that you actually wanted to add to as well, I'm very open to public criticism. I'm also open to facts, because I don't know everything. I'm not going to act like I know everything. I'm an aspiring physician. And I do extensive research and in-depth research on how to really heal yourself and what true health really means. So with that said, I'm glad you guys joined this video today. I'm glad you I hope you walked away, or you walk away with something that you learned. If you never heard about food combinations, I'm glad this is a good stop. Put it into practice. Go to Google, search food combinations, do your research for yourself, and start getting your health back in line. Because honestly, health, and at the base, gut health is the root of all enjoyable life, should I say. So with that being said, I'm glad you could join me, and join me on another video in the future. Thank you.